What's going on, guys? John Santos, and in today's video what we're going to do is we're actually going to take you around this trade show, which is at the Magic Convention. And we're going to go through some of the questions that you should be asking suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, or anybody that you're willing to purchase products from. All right, and these questions are going to help you really gauge the capabilities of each of these suppliers or factories and help you kind of predict how your relationship may go. All right, and the first couple questions that we're going to do, we're actually going to take it over to the Bella Canvas booth where you guys could see how the conversation may be able to go. And then what I'm going to also do is go through some of the questions that you should also be asking whenever you're attending and meeting with these brands. All right, so let's do it. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of the viewers and customers are always looking at is some pretty common questions in terms of like, do you guys ship internationally, or how can they get their hands if they're overseas? What's the best way for them to place an order or to work with you guys?
So we have distributors overseas that they're able to, as local businesses, they're able to go and order that product from our wholesale distributors who have locations all across Europe. We also have a warehouse in Europe. You are able to place a drop ship order from the US at full case quantities if you have a freight forwarder, but it makes the most sense to source it actually in Europe versus dealing with shipping internationally.
That makes sense. So then is anybody able to get their hands on this? So like any regular consumer, or what do they have to have in place in order to be a customer?
It's a B2B, business to business, so you have to have a resale license and you have to be either a major brand or a decorator or promotional product distributor.
Okay, cool. So then they actually have to have a business in place in order to place an order with distributors or with you guys as
exactly,
well, right?
Yes.
That makes sense. So this is probably a question that comes out a lot too, is like, where exactly are your products made?
So we have a hybrid production model. We do some domestic production, but most of what we do, we actually do all of our dyeing and cutting in Los Angeles, and then we send those cut pieces down to Central America to be assembled. So although we do offer USA made, it's specific to just a handful of styles, and the majority of what we do is that hybrid model. But what most people don't know is that we're actually the largest dyer and cutter of apparel in North America with the production model that we have in place.
Oh, wow. What are the lead times in order for them to get it?
So we like to be in stock at all times. So in theory, if you place your order by 4 p.m. Pacific time, it'll ship same day, FedEx parcel. If it's large volume, which we love, it'll go LTL full truckloads.
What are you guys' minimum order quantity when customers place an order?
So there's actually no minimums. You can order by the piece, and we offer case pricing down to that piece level.
Do they get price breaks at a certain point?
We always have that most competitive pricing available at the case price. So if they had a large bid that they wanted to quote out, they would work with a rep on looking at what that is.
So then in regards to customer service and the ways that customers can communicate with you, what would be the best way for me to get a hold of you guys in order to place an order?
We have a customer service phone number, an email address, and then online chat.
Okay, cool. So it's very simple and
easy,
straightforward.
Yeah.
In addition to the questions we just asked, some other ones that you should consider are, where are your offices located? How long have you been in business? Do you ship to the US? Do you have offices in Europe? Do you sell one-offs? What are the payment terms? Are there discounts for full payment up front? What are return policies, and is there a restocking fee? How many days do we have to inspect the product before we take ownership? Is there delivery fees, or what method do you use to ship? What happens if a product arrives late? And what quantities do price breaks happen in? The reason you should ask where your offices are located or if they have a US or Europe presence is because if you're bulk ordering any wholesale products or any fabrics or materials that you're interested in buying, if they don't have offices in the US or if they don't have a point of contact or a distributor in that area, you're going to be in charge of making sure that all the importing fees and any kind of taxes are going to be calculated, and you got to pay them up front. Now, if they have offices or a presence in the country that you're purchasing in, then they'll be able to quote you what the total price is going to be out the door with all those taxes and fees applied. So It's always good to buy from a supplier or a wholesaler that has a presence in your country, because it'll help you on the back end also not have to deal with so many logistical issues. Of course, the question of how long have you been in business, this is going to be one that's going to put you at ease or make you worry just a little bit about their capabilities of actually delivering as promised. If a new business just got into business and you're buying from them, then you need to know that they're going to be able to supply the products that you ordered. Now, a lot of times, a lot of these businesses may look like they've been established and they have like this huge presence, but they're only sourcing or they're grabbing materials from other supplying, and they're not necessarily creating their own products. So when that happens, the supply of those products may diminish before you get your hands on them. So knowing how long they've been in business and what their business like how they do business is going to be very important. The question of where your products is made is always going to be important, because if they know exactly where they're being made, then they know where they can go get them. But if they don't, then that's where you can run into the discrepancy of not getting the products that you need. What are the payment terms is going to be another question that you definitely want to make sure that you ask. A lot of these people may do 50-50. If they want 100% up front, make sure it's a legit company and you're going to be able to get your money back if anything goes wrong. But most of the times they do have payment terms, half on front and half on delivery. But once you kind of establish a relationship with them, then you can get better terms, whether it's net 30, net 60, or net 90, meaning that's when you get after you get the product, that's how many days you have to pay them back. The other question is what are the return policies and if there's a restocking fee. So sometimes it may not go as planned. You may actually need to get a return. You may need to return a product if it's sewn on bad, if it's manufactured incorrectly, or maybe you got the wrong color or the wrong style or the wrong product altogether. That's going to be something that you're going to need to know up front, what their return policy is in regards to giving them the product back and getting you a new one, or just if it came out really bad and you weren't happy with the quality or whatever it was, can you return it and get your money back, or do they have a restocking fee, or do they just apply a credit on a future order? Those are all going to be the questions that you want to definitely ask them, so you know ahead of time before you place an order. Same goes for if the product arrives late. So if a product isn't there on time, then are you able to get a credit or a refund or some future credit to make up for it? I mean, if a product arrives late, then you're going to be on the hook for it if you need to have the order in and sold into a retail store, or if you just needed to meet that deadline to get that launch going properly. Those are all things, and all of them are equally important. So definitely make sure to consider each and every single one of these questions when you're approaching suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, or brands to sell their products to your consumers. Awesome, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Now, if you haven't already been subscribed to this channel, make sure you click on the notification bell right down below and hit the subscribe button. Leave your comment for a future video. Make sure that you check out the playlist linked right up above, where we talk more about trade shows and more about wholesale buying and more about how to start your clothing line or your brand this year. All right, I appreciate every single one of you guys watching. Let's connect on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Twitter, wherever you guys are at. I want to make sure to be there for the journey that you guys are in. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.